Hey everybody, I am Andrea Stutt coming to you live today from a Walmart parking lot, and my heart is to share a little bit about my experience with hormones and hormone balance and how the health of my gut affected that, along with a few other things. I'm 47 now. I was 43 when I started learning about all this. I'm a mom of 7. I homeschool. I am a registered nurse. And I'm a little bit of a microbiology nerd. But let me just tell you, most of everything I've learned related to the microbiome is what I've learned in the past several years. Not what I learned in nursing school, not what I learned as a nurse, not what I learned as any kind of medical professional. So anybody has access to this information. So I'm going to try to just keep it really simple, but I'm going to share a little bit of my story. And if I haven't introduced myself fully, I am a senior Ruby with Plexus. So just know on the front end, anything I share, I am an independent ambassador. Plexus does not claim to cure or treat or prevent any certain disease. Anything I share is independent and is based on my research and my understanding and my personal experience. Okay, so I came to Plexus as a 43-year-old exhausted mom. I was diagnosed with IBS when I was 14. I had MTHFR mutation diagnosed. I had began researching gut health and how that's related to MTHFR. And I also was researching how my body does not detox properly. So toxins that we all come in contact with, my body was even extra taxed because of that. So if you relate to that, you may want to listen. And obviously, I knew that IBS was related to gut health. So I came to Plexus, the triplex, the gut health combo that everybody talks about, really with high hopes, but a lot of skepticism. Because you hear a lot of things work, but does it work for me? I don't know. I have to give it time is what I told myself. And that was almost 4 years ago now. Within a month, I saw my brain fog lifted. My energy came back. I did no longer have to wake up every day feeling like I needed to go right back to sleep. My extreme moods and just irritability were definitely just calming down and just getting even. I could handle the stress of my life once again. I was sleeping better because I didn't mention I had had terrible insomnia. And I was not sleeping. Even when the baby slept, I didn't sleep. So if any of this, if you relate to any of this, there is hope. I also struggled with some anxiety issues and depression issues. I was not on medication. I was not clinically depressed, but I was struggling with feeling depressed feelings every day. I will say I was on the verge of seeking medical care. Okay, so I have children with allergies. I have children who had skin infections, ear infections that went away after being on our gut health, our probiotic. I had a diagnosed swallowing issue with inflammation and scar tissue that went away after a few months. I have a son who would carry a Kleenex box around with him every single day because he had severe allergies. He could not mow the grass or anything, and he completely was like 90% better within a few months. So I knew the products worked. I understood the concept behind gut health, but I wanted to understand why. Like, why are these things helping? And so it kind of took me back to, in nursing school, my favorite class was microbiology. I loved understanding the way the body works, how the cells work, what everything does, how they affect each other. So everything I'm sharing with you today is just from my own personal research. And I'm not going to go extremely in depth because it's a lot. But when we talk about hormones, it's important to understand our body is we are like human walking rainforests. We have ecosystems within ecosystems, okay? So when we talk about the microbiome, it's a huge ecosystem, okay? The microbiome, it's important to understand that we are more microbial more bacterial cells than we are human DNA. So that's just a good perspective to keep it in. So when we talk about hormones, we have to understand that hormones talk to each other, but then bacteria actually use hormones to talk to each other. And so it's all intertwined. And so when you get an understanding of that, you'll understand why it's so important to address hormones from multiple angles. So we talk about hormone disruptors, all those kind of things typically. Well, it's important to also understand we need to address it from like the root. So if you can imagine, your gut microbiome specifically is like a garden. And if you imagine you've got weeds all in the garden and it's all overgrown, that's going to represent maybe your bad bacteria, your yeast, your candida. We need a certain percentage of that to be bad bacteria. There is a function to that. Candida is what actually helps our body decompose. But it needs to be like 80% good, 20% bad. Most of us are walking around with it flip-flopped and we have no idea why. But there's so many reasons why. Toxins in our water, antibiotic use, hormonal replacement, birth control, the foods we eat, the processed foods we eat. It all works together and it all affects the health of our gut microbiome. I'm going to read a little bit of this because I can't remember everything. Okay, so many important things I wanted to share is like, how many people do you know who struggle with some kind of a hormonal issue? Anywhere from adrenal fatigue, hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism, menopause issues, perimenopause issues, some kind of estrogen imbalance. A lot of people. Okay, so we tend to focus on the endocrine system itself and the glands themselves, but what we are doing is we're largely ignoring the major endocrine system, which is the microbiome. It is an endocrine system, if you didn't know that. It is considered a virtual organ now. It's powerful, or more so powerful than the endocrine glands that we talk about. So if you can understand that its function is huge within your endocrine system, you'll understand why it's so important to address the microbiome. Okay, so if you can imagine, it's like the master controller of your hormone balance in your body. So just understand that. It helps to regulate the expression of the hormones. It inhibits or enhances the production of certain hormones. If you're dealing with issues related to any kind of hormone imbalance, but you do not address the gut, you're really not going to get very far. Okay, some examples of, have you ever heard that your serotonin is largely produced in the gut? Okay, so serotonin is your happy hormone, right? It's actually fairly well researched that 90% of your serotonin is produced in your digestive tract. So think about that. Serotonin is also a master regulator of communication between your gut and your brain. Okay, so it not only helps with that, it helps with your mood, it helps with your gut motility, and it helps with your sleep. Okay, so if you can understand also that just one course of antibiotics is going to throw your cascade of action it's going to throw you into like chaos, okay? Just one course of antibiotics. So that's why a lot of people will see a drop in their serotonin, a drop in their dopamine. There's going to be a drop in your thyroid or hormone imbalance. You're going to have an increase in anxiety. And so there is a direct correlation is what I'm trying to say. And another interesting thing I found is, did you know that gut bacteria also produces your dopamine? Okay, we all know about dopamine and dopamine receptors and all that. It also affects your norepinephrine, which is your fight or flight response. Okay, so these are so many reasons why you know so many people that are struggling with anxiety and depression and lack of sleep and all of that. Well, if you understand that gut bacteria are producing those hormones, it makes sense that if you're out of balance in your gut, the dysbiosis is the word we use, it would make perfect sense that all those things would be out of balance. Okay, so another thing that your gut bacteria produces is progesterone and estrogen. Okay, so something really cool that I found out is A healthy microbiome, a healthy one that's balanced, is going to produce more of one type of estrogen. There's 3 forms of estrogen, but one type is called estriol, and it actually is one that's going to be most beneficial in decreasing your menopause symptoms. It's going to be more beneficial in helping with bone osteoporosis, and with vaginal dryness and things like that. It's called estriol. A healthy microbiome is going to be higher in that particular type of estrogen. So a lot of us are struggling because we do not have a healthy microbiome. We're having all these symptoms I just mentioned. Okay, so and another thing, one of your body's main ways of cleaning itself of excess estrogen is through your microbiome. Okay, so how many people do you know that have a high risk of breast cancer? Okay, if they're not addressing their gut, then they're really, really missing a key component of what they could be doing to help the risk of breast cancer. Research is now finding that research on breast cancer, or they're now trying to find ways to increase estriol synthetically. But what if you could just do it, mitigate all these issues, and just go straight to the source, go to your own microbiome? That's what I'm trying to talk about. So something we talk about. So we talk about, why do we supplement? Okay. We supplement because honestly, we have all the strains within our own body. We actually already have the good bacterial strains that we need. It's just a matter of getting those strains to proliferate. Okay. So this is where I'm just going to get really basic. So basically what's going on is we have what's called leaky gut. Okay. We have inflammation in our gut. We have too much bad bacteria, not enough good. And so basically those good strains of bacteria that are already in there, that are supposed to keep our ecosystem functioning like it should, they're not able to flourish. That's the issue. So the things that we need to be doing are doing things to reduce inflammation, but then also increasing that good bacteria. And so, yes, we need to be eating well. I know so many people that eat really well, organic, clean, all those things, but they're still suffering. And the reason is, it's really simple. This is the crazy things. It's so simple. If you imagine you've got your garden, right? And it's got all these weeds in it from a lifetime of just different toxins that it's coming into contact with. So just imagine these weeds are flourishing, okay? And then all of a sudden you start sprinkling good food on it, okay? Which is like, think of Miracle-Gro or something, okay? Something really good for it. You got your rain, you got your sunshine, you've got your good, seeds and all that. But here's the deal. There's so many weeds. It's not absorbing. It's not working. Okay? And so that's the issue. Okay? So that's where our products are coming into play. So we have good strains of probiotics that address these different issues. But the cool thing is our probiotic also has enzymes that break through like the biofilm that's protecting these viral and bacterial colonies. It breaks through the biofilm. It breaks through the candida overgrowth, which is the hard shell, breaks it up, gets rid of it. Yes, there's a process to that. Yes, you may have some detox, but then once it gets rid of all those bad guys that are overpopulating our garden, then whenever we're putting something good in, it can finally receive it and receive the nourishment, and then the inflammation goes down, and then the good bacteria start to flourish, and then that's when we put in our drink, our pink drink, which has the really great prebiotics that feed specifically good bacteria. So that's the purpose in that. And that's why so many people see changes. And then the BioCleanse works with that also. So our ProBio 5 and then our BioCleanse works to help get rid of and flush out all those nasty weeds that it's killing off. And then it in turn oxygenates our tissues and makes it healthier, more receptive to all the good. So if you can imagine the three things work together, it's like a synergistic effect, okay? And then if you can understand that our whole gut microbiome ecosystem is all works in synergy also, you'll understand why it's still important to address hormone disruptors. It's still important to look at the water you're drinking, the food you're eating. Those things do not go away. Even exercise alone can help your microbiome to be healthier. So it is important to see the holistic approach to it, but you cannot not go to battle without the proper tools. And that's where our products are unique, and where they are different than just your regular probiotic, because most probiotics do not also have the antifungals and the enzymes that break the biofilm, and all of that kind of stuff. Another thing is reducing inflammation is key. So like a lot of people, just with our Plexus Slim, which is our pink drink, they see a reduction in some symptoms. And I believe it's because it does naturally detox your body gently. So it helps get rid of toxins, but it also reduces inflammation. Inflammation is part of what is helping to hold on to all the bad bacteria and helping the good stuff not work, because you've got systemic inflammation is a really big issue. A lot of people know that because they watch what they eat, they watch anti-inflammatory foods and all that kind of stuff. Well, Plexus Slim helps with that. And then one more thing that Plexus Slim helps with is blood sugar balance. Okay, so this is a whole nother facet of this. So if you can understand that if we can keep our blood sugar from kind of going up and down like it does, okay, then it's actually going to help our insulin, the hormone insulin, to not be constantly bombarded with signals, because a lot of us have what's called insulin resistance. But even before you have insulin resistance, you have just I look at it like tired insulin receptors, okay? They're just like, oh my gosh, how many times am I going to be hit today to be signaled to be released, okay? So when your insulin, who is actually, they call it the king of the hormones, your insulin talks to all your other hormones, okay? So you're addressing the hormone production at a base level, but then you're also enhancing the communication between all of the hormones through the insulin. That also helps your hormones to stay balanced. So it works in multiple ways. If you can look at it like it's like you're coming at your hormones from all these different angles and giving your hormones what they need, the environment they need to communicate and for your body to work in a symbiotic way. We call it homeostasis. That just basically means your body's more balanced. And the reason it's balanced is because you're addressing it from all the needed angles. So anyway, hopefully that wasn't too complicated. I love sharing how Plexus Triplex specifically works, especially for hormones, because hormone issues are a really big deal, a really hot topic right now, obviously. And I just love to encourage in that way. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Otherwise, you guys have a great day.